Welcome to the Handyman Pros radio show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros.
Welcome to the Handyman Pros radio show Action Edition, where today we're going to feature an item in the news. And I'm here with my old buddy Larry. Larry, what's been going on this week?
Well, John, I've been doing lots of research, and you keep sending me these articles on great things in the news, right? So, I've had this week off because it's been actually, this is the week before the week that this will show. I've had this week off, so I've had a little bit of free time for once in my very extensive life. So I've been reading these articles, and so we came up on this show, John. John, we're going to do, what is this called? Is it the Roto Rooter Plumbing Repair Survey?
So I can go through this, Larry, and we can comment. This is an article I came across in one of the trade rags out there, and it's by Roto Rooter, and so I'll give them all the credit here, and they are North America's largest provider of plumbing and drain repair services. So there's their plug.
Yep. And
they did a thought leader survey. Okay. Very important thought leader survey. And here's what they've come up against here. They revealed that the Northeast region has the best DIY plumbers in the country.
And why is that? No, I do believe that. Yeah, I do believe that.
Yeah, it says that that those in the Northeast aren't necessarily more handy, but they certainly do experience more plumbing problems. Northeastern homeowners are prone to plumbing issues that cost $5,000 or more to fix. So in other words, they go on to say, they have more opportunities to develop their skills due to older plumbing infrastructure. So that, let me leave it right there for a second. That makes sense,
right?
Doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
All those older homes up in the Northeast. And I would also say some of those older homes that I lived in and around up in Chicago, certainly a lot of plumbing problems because of all the old technology that exists up there. My God, I didn't even want to think of what a nightmare. But it says, interestingly, the Northeast also has the smallest gender gap among DIY enthusiasts. It's almost 50-50 of women to men that are fixing their own plumbing. It's actually 52 to 57, but that's very close.
Well, good for the women. That's what I have to say. Don't wait for your husband to get home. Fix the freaking thing. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I guess let's go back. You take a step back and you say, wow. Well, if the average plumbing issue is cost $5,000 or more to fix, I think you better learn how to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, yikes.
And, yeah, so to go on in this article, there's a couple other bold items I'll go through here, and it's comparing the different parts of the country and their ability to do these kind of things and what kind of problems they run into. But Northeasterns are more likely to fix a plumbing problem on their own than people from the Midwest. Versus 51% of Southerners and only 47% of Westerners. It says Westerners are more likely to call a plumber from the get-go. Now, I don't know what to make of that, but there you go.
Don't know, don't care.
Yeah,
I mean, really doesn't
boy, that's
really
a stat for you right there out of the Roto Rooter thought leader survey.
The thought leader survey.
It says slow-running drains are among the most common plumbing issues for those living in the Northeast, with at least 20% having at least 2 slow-running drains in their homes. And, I can see that.
I can too.
I can see that.
Mostly due to age.
Mostly due to age.
Age and materials, right?
Those Northeastern homeowners are more likely to suffer from dripping faucets, a large margin, versus the Midwest or South and the West.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I think once again, it's all the older stuff that's employed up there. Let me just kind of skim through this. Only the West is more likely than the Northeast to have running toilets. Now that's quite the stat from the thought leader survey here of Roto Rooter, but
So
there
there was
you have
one
it.
stat we talked about in the pre-show here. I want you to read that stat
Yeah,
on
I'm getting
this
to
one.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm getting to that one. Let's see. It says region so plumbing system. It says the fun bonus fact: Midwesterners are least likely to know how to turn their water off during an emergency.
And what's the
versus
percentage?
7% said yes, versus the Northeast 11%, South 10%, and West 10%. So,
So I want to break that down
means
into
a whole
real
lot of
numbers.
people out there don't know how to turn their water off in an emergency.
Correct. And that's going to be the action tip for this show right there. Folks, if you don't know where your water meter is and you don't know how to turn off the water at the water meter at the street, you need to get off the couch or off this show and go find it. And you need to find it, and I will tell you from personal experience, you might have to dig that valve out. I had to dig one out the other day because the sediment had actually covered the valve up, and I needed to do a plumbing repair. I needed to turn the valve off. Dig it out and make sure that it operates, that you can actually turn the water off. John, remember I did that show. We talked about it a little bit on the show, but I did this for a friend of mine. I changed his bathtub out, and he had CPVC pipes that broke, and I had turned off his water at the street. His water from the house down to the street was more than 200 feet. It took me about 3 minutes to get down to his water meter took me about 5 minutes total to get the valve off, and I didn't have an emergency. I was doing it in advance. That was with no emergency. John, how much water flows in 5 minutes?
A lot.
Like 6 times 5 is about 30 gallons. Okay. I mean, roughly on a 3/4 inch line.
And I will tell you, just add, usually there's going to be the shutoff at the street, which is going to be the main one. There's also going to be a main one inside your house in most cases.
Correct.
That you need to know in case you have a plumbing an emergency, like a busted pipe or something, that you just need to turn it off right away, and you run down to the basement or wherever it is out in the garage and flip that lever. Turn that valve and close it off right now, because you're right. You need to understand where that's at. If you don't, you are gonna you can give yourself a lot of misery.
Oh, it can cost you. Multiple tens of thousands of dollars. Multiple tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, John, I think I've told this story, but this was one. Had a customer had a Keurig machine hooked up with a 1/4 inch water line. Goes on vacation. The line broke. Came home to 3 inches of water in the basement, about $100,000 in repairs after 4 days. From a 1/4 inch line. So, folks, a 1/4 inch line is just the little stuff that goes like into a ice maker. That's a small line. You break a big line, like a 3/4 inch line, like the main, which is what most services coming into your house are, or even a 1/2 inch line. It's 6 gallons. A 3/4 inch line, we did the math. John and I were doing it the other day because we actually had a customer who had a line break, and he had, John, how big was his bill? Was $28,000 for his monthly water bill? $24,000. Yeah. And we figured out he had spilled something like 1 million gallons of water, and come to find out, we thought it wasn't right, but it ended up being correct, wasn't it, John? He had dumped 1 million gallons of water into a creek.
Like that.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So anyway, now that's over 30 days, but at 6 gallons a minute, you blow a lot of water out, and 6 gallons a minute will do tremendous damage to your home. Tremendous damage to your home. So that's your task for today. And on that, we're going to publish this Roto Rooter Thought Leadership survey out on the blog on the website. We are going to do that. It's kind of an interesting read.
I'll send you a link to it.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting it's an interesting read. But definitely today, here's your action point for the day. Go out and find your water meter and figure out how to turn it off.
And one last thing, all you DIY plumbers out in the Northeast, rock on, baby.
Yeah, keep it going. And we will see you all next week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this podcast and have derived some value from it, here's 4 things you can do. 1, tell your friends about this podcast. 2, hit subscribe on your podcast player. While you're there, leave us a review. 3, subscribe to our newsletter by going to handymanprosradioshow.com and click on the subscribe button. We'll inform you of upcoming events, shows, and give you actionable tips for maintaining your home and property. And 4, send us an email with your questions to questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. That's handymanprosradioshow.com. That's our show for this week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.